Have you ever felt tired for no clear reason? Not just sleepy, but deeply drained, like your body is running on low battery, even after a full night's rest? If you're over 65, chances are you've felt this way more than once. And maybe you've been told that's just part of getting older. But what if it's not? What if your fatigue isn't just age, but a quiet signal that your body is missing something important? Here's the truth. Feeling tired all the time isn't normal, even in your 70s, 80s, or beyond. In fact, many older adults are living with daily exhaustion caused by fixable issues. Things like mild dehydration, low iron, or missing key minerals like potassium and magnesium. And because these problems don't always show obvious symptoms, they often get ignored or mistaken for aging. In today's video, we're going to uncover the real reasons why seniors feel tired, even when they're getting enough sleep, eating regular meals, and taking their medications. Some of these causes might surprise you. They're not what most people think. We'll also show you how to recognize the signs, what to ask your doctor, and simple changes you can make to start feeling stronger, clearer, and more energized in just a few weeks. You're not weak. Your body is simply asking for support. And once you understand what it needs, everything can change. Your energy, your mood, your mobility, and even your independence. So stick with us because this video might just give you the answer you've been searching for and the power to take your energy back. I know you are a person who likes to watch videos quietly. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it because you are a kind person. If the video is helpful, press 1. If the video is not good enough or needs improvement, press 2. Thanks everyone. Now let's get started. Number 1, mild dehydration, the overlooked energy drain. Mr. Charles, a 79-year-old former school principal from Ohio, had always been sharp and active. Even in retirement, he stayed busy, gardening, reading, and enjoying long walks in the park. But over the past few months, something began to change. He noticed he was getting tired more easily. Climbing stairs felt harder. He'd wake up in the morning feeling groggy and sluggish, even after 8 hours of sleep. At first, he thought it was just part of aging. But when he mentioned these symptoms during a routine doctor's visit, the doctor asked him a simple question: "How much water are you drinking every day?" Charles paused and realized most days he barely drank 2 cups. A bit of coffee in the morning, a small glass of juice at lunch, maybe a few sips of water with dinner. Nothing close to what his body actually needed. That one realization changed everything. Mild dehydration is one of the most common and most overlooked causes of fatigue in seniors. As we age, our bodies lose water more quickly and our sense of thirst becomes less reliable. That means many older adults go through the day slightly dehydrated without even realizing it. The symptoms aren't always obvious. You may not feel thirsty, and there may be no dry mouth or dizziness. Instead, it shows up as low energy, brain fog, headaches, sluggishness, or even feeling heavy when moving around. The reason is simple. When you're dehydrated, your blood volume drops slightly. That means less oxygen and nutrients are being delivered to your muscles and brain. Your heart has to work harder to pump blood, and your cells struggle to stay energized. The result? You feel worn out, mentally and physically, even when you haven't done much at all. Many seniors attribute this kind of tiredness to getting older or blame it on sleep issues. But the truth is, just a 1 to 2% drop in body water can cause significant changes in energy and mood. And since older adults often drink less, either because they don't feel thirsty, want to avoid bathroom trips, or are on fluid-restricting medications, it becomes a quiet, chronic issue that chips away at vitality day after day. Mr. Charles began making one simple change. He filled a large water bottle every morning and made it a goal to finish it by the end of the day. He also added a pinch of salt and a splash of lemon to his water, which helped with taste and absorption. Within a week, he noticed a difference. He wasn't crashing in the afternoons anymore. His walks felt lighter and his thoughts clearer. It didn't feel like a miracle. It felt like he had finally given his body something it had been missing. If you're experiencing unexplained tiredness, difficulty concentrating, or a sense of being off without knowing why, try tracking your fluid intake. Aim for small, consistent sips throughout the day. Not just big glasses at meals. Include foods with high water content like cucumbers, oranges, and soups. And if you take medications that affect hydration, talk to your doctor about what your ideal fluid needs are. Staying hydrated doesn't require fancy sports drinks or complicated formulas. It just requires awareness and a little routine. Often, the solution to fatigue isn't more sleep or more vitamins. Sometimes it's simply more water. In the next section, we'll look at another surprising reason for fatigue that often goes unnoticed in seniors. A quiet condition that affects oxygen delivery and leaves you feeling breathless, weak, and drained. Let's move on to number 2. Iron deficiency, a hidden cause of fatigue in seniors. Number 2. Iron deficiency, a hidden cause of fatigue in seniors. Mrs. Lorraine, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Vermont, had always been a calm, organized, and active woman. She loved morning walks, volunteering at the local church, and reading by the window in the afternoons. But over the past several months, something had changed. She found herself feeling breathless after walking just a few steps, and she needed to sit down more often during the day. She assumed it was her heart, but her doctor said everything looked normal. Still, her energy levels kept dropping. Eventually, after a simple blood test, the real issue was revealed. She had iron deficiency anemia, something she never suspected because she wasn't bleeding, wasn't losing weight, and still had an appetite. But what she didn't realize was that as she aged, her body's ability to absorb iron had quietly declined, and now her red blood cells didn't have enough hemoglobin to carry oxygen efficiently. The result? Her muscles and brain were constantly underpowered, like a phone trying to run at 10% battery all day. Iron deficiency is one of the most common and most frequently missed causes of fatigue in older adults, especially women. Many seniors mistakenly believe anemia only happens when someone is seriously ill, bleeding, or not eating at all. But in truth, anemia in seniors often develops slowly and subtly. It's not always caused by visible blood loss. Sometimes it's due to chronic inflammation, low stomach acid, certain medications, or simply not eating enough iron-rich foods. As the body struggles to produce enough healthy red blood cells, you may begin to feel more tired after basic tasks. You might find it harder to concentrate, become short of breath easily, or feel dizzy when standing. Some people develop brittle nails, pale skin, or headaches. But for many, the only symptom is that ongoing, frustrating sense of exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to fix. One challenge with identifying iron deficiency is that its symptoms overlap with so many other things: poor sleep, depression, thyroid problems, or simply aging. That's why many cases go undiagnosed for months or even years. A simple blood test, called a complete blood count, CBC, along with ferritin and iron levels, can often detect the issue quickly. In Lorraine's case, the fix was straightforward. Her doctor recommended iron supplements, encouraged her to eat more iron-rich foods like lean beef, lentils, and spinach, and suggested taking vitamin C to help with absorption. Within a few weeks, she began to notice a difference. Her walks became longer again. Her mood lifted. She didn't need as many naps during the day, and she finally felt like herself again. For older adults, maintaining healthy iron levels is essential not just for energy, but for overall function and independence. Without enough iron, your entire body operates in slow motion. Your brain doesn't think as clearly, your muscles don't recover as fast, and your heart works harder to compensate. Over time, this silent strain can reduce your quality of life and increase your risk for falls, frailty, and hospitalizations. If you've been feeling tired for no clear reason, and you know your sleep and hydration are in check, ask your doctor to check your iron and hemoglobin levels. It's a simple test, but it could unlock the reason behind months or even years of unexplained fatigue. And don't wait until the symptoms become severe. The earlier you catch it, the easier it is to treat, and the faster you'll regain your strength. Next, we'll talk about another essential nutrient that's often forgotten. one that keeps your muscles strong, your heart steady, and your energy flowing throughout the day. Let's continue with number 3, low potassium, weak muscles and sluggish energy. Number 3, low potassium, weak muscles and sluggish energy. Mr. Raymond, an 83-year-old retired auto mechanic from Minnesota, had always been known for his strong hands and steady gait. Even after retirement, he kept busy fixing things around the house and helping his neighbors with minor repairs. But in the past few months, his body began to feel strangely heavy. His legs, once strong and dependable, now felt weak when he got up from a chair. He sometimes experienced minor muscle cramps and a slow, dragging feeling when walking, like he was wading through water. More than that, he felt tired in a way that didn't make sense. He was sleeping okay, staying hydrated, and still eating 3 meals a day. When he mentioned the weakness to his doctor, a simple blood test revealed something unexpected. His potassium levels were low, just under the normal range. Raymond was surprised. He had never given potassium much thought. But what he didn't know is that low potassium is one of the most common and underdiagnosed reasons seniors feel physically drained. Potassium is an essential mineral and electrolyte that plays a critical role in how your nerves function, how your muscles contract, and how your heart keeps a steady rhythm. Without enough of it, everything slows down, including energy production at the cellular level. Low potassium, or hypokalemia, doesn't always show dramatic symptoms. It often sneaks in gradually. You may feel fatigued after small tasks, or notice your muscles are weaker than usual. Some people feel constipated, lightheaded, or have heart palpitations that come and go. In older adults, these signs are easily mistaken for normal aging or dismissed as side effects of medication. But in reality, they may be the body's way of saying, "I'm running low on something, I need to keep going." There are several reasons potassium levels can drop in seniors. One of the most common is the use of diuretics, water pills that are often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart issues. These medications help flush out excess fluid, but also remove essential electrolytes like potassium. Digestive issues, such as chronic diarrhea or certain medications that affect absorption, can also contribute. And sometimes it's simply a matter of diet. As we get older, our appetite can shrink, and we may eat fewer fruits and vegetables, the very foods that are rich in potassium. Foods like bananas, sweet potatoes, spinach, oranges, and beans are all excellent sources, but they don't always make it onto a senior's plate consistently. Raymond's doctor advised him to adjust his diet by adding more potassium-rich foods, especially at breakfast and lunch. He started each day with half a banana or a few slices of avocado and added cooked spinach to his lunch a few times a week. They also reviewed his medication to ensure it wasn't contributing to the problem. Within 2 weeks, he noticed a real shift. His legs felt stronger, the muscle cramps faded, and the foggy, sluggish feeling he had been living with for months began to lift. He was amazed at how much better he felt from such small, simple changes. The good news is that potassium deficiency is highly correctable once it's identified, but it's essential to address it carefully, especially in older adults, because both too little and too much potassium can be dangerous. That's why it's important to never self-diagnose or supplement without your doctor's guidance. A blood test is all it takes to know where you stand. If you've been feeling off lately, physically slower, weaker, or less steady, don't assume it's just your age. Ask your doctor about your potassium levels. Something as small as adding a baked potato to your dinner or a piece of fruit to your snack might make a big difference in how your body feels and functions. In the next section, we'll look at another powerful yet often ignored mineral that affects energy, mood, sleep, and even muscle cramps. One that most people over 65 are lacking without even realizing it. Let's move on to number 4. Magnesium deficiency, the mineral you didn't know you needed. Number 4, magnesium deficiency, the mineral you didn't know you needed. Mrs. Helen, an 82-year-old widow from Oregon, had always prided herself on maintaining a simple but healthy lifestyle. She stayed active in her garden, enjoyed quiet mornings with crossword puzzles, and kept up with her friends at church. But something had been bothering her for months, a strange lingering fatigue that she couldn't explain. Her legs would sometimes cramp at night, her sleep felt restless, and during the day she often felt slightly anxious for no reason. "It's like my body is tired but also restless," she told her daughter. She tried drinking more water, added some extra fruit to her diet, even took a multivitamin, but nothing changed. During a visit to her doctor, a comprehensive blood panel revealed a quiet culprit. Her magnesium levels were low. Helen was stunned. She had never even heard that magnesium could be a problem. Magnesium is one of the most essential yet underestimated minerals in the human body. It plays a role in over 300 biological processes, including energy production, muscle and nerve function, sleep regulation, and stress response. It helps keep the heart rhythm steady, supports healthy blood pressure, and even contributes to maintaining bone density. But despite its importance, many older adults, like Helen, are unknowingly deficient. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing magnesium from food. On top of that, many medications commonly prescribed to seniors, including diuretics, proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, and certain antibiotics, can either deplete magnesium or reduce its absorption. Over time, this creates a silent imbalance that gradually erodes energy, mood, and physical comfort. Magnesium deficiency doesn't always announce itself loudly. It creeps in with vague symptoms that are easy to overlook or blame on aging. Muscle cramps, fatigue, poor sleep, anxiety, weakness, or even slight tremors. For some, it shows up as constipation or headaches. Because these signs are so subtle and common, they often go untreated, and the person continues to feel off without understanding why. The good news is that magnesium levels can be tested with a simple blood draw, and the deficiency is relatively easy to correct once identified. Helen's doctor recommended that she begin incorporating more magnesium-rich foods into her meals. She started eating oatmeal with pumpkin seeds in the morning, snacking on almonds and bananas in the afternoon, and adding leafy greens like Swiss chard to her dinners. In addition, her doctor suggested a low-dose magnesium supplement before bed. Within 2 weeks, Helen noticed that her legs were cramping less often, she was falling asleep more easily, and her anxious restlessness during the day had greatly improved. "I didn't realize how much one little mineral could affect so many parts of my life," she said. For older adults, magnesium is particularly important because of how it interacts with other systems in the body. Low magnesium can worsen insulin resistance, contribute to inflammation, and even amplify the effects of stress. Yet it's rarely part of routine screenings unless specifically requested. That's why awareness is so important, both for individuals and caregivers. If you're over 65 and experiencing unexplained fatigue, trouble sleeping, muscle stiffness, or irritability, it's worth asking your doctor to check your magnesium levels. Even modest improvements in your magnesium status can lead to noticeable changes in how your body feels and functions each day. Up next, we'll shift gears and talk about something that often goes unnoticed because it hides in plain sight. Poor sleep quality. It's not just about how many hours you're in bed, but how well your body actually rests and recovers. Let's continue with number 5. Poor sleep quality, not just normal aging. Number 5. Poor sleep quality, not just normal aging. Mr. Walter, a 78-year-old former math teacher from Pennsylvania, had never been someone who needed a lot of sleep. Even in his younger days, he was up before sunrise and never napped. But recently, he had started waking up several times during the night. Sometimes to use the bathroom, sometimes for no clear reason at all. He would toss and turn, glance at the clock, and watch the hours crawl by. By morning, he'd feel foggy and sluggish, almost like he hadn't slept at all. At first, he told himself this was just what getting older felt like. Maybe I'm just not meant to sleep as much anymore, he thought. But when the fatigue began affecting his memory, his mood, and even his balance, his daughter encouraged him to talk to his doctor. What he discovered surprised him. Poor sleep isn't an inevitable part of aging. And more importantly, it wasn't just the number of hours he spent in bed that mattered, but the quality of those hours. As we age, our sleep patterns naturally shift. It's true that older adults may feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake up earlier in the morning. But waking up multiple times a night, spending long periods lying awake, or feeling exhausted during the day despite spending 8 hours in bed isn't normal. It's a sign that the body isn't entering deep, restorative sleep. This kind of sleep disruption can be caused by a number of things: medications, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, nighttime bathroom trips, or even untreated sleep apnea. Unfortunately, because sleep problems develop slowly over time, many seniors begin to accept them as just part of aging and never seek help or try to improve their sleep environment or habits. What many don't realize is that poor sleep quality can lead to a domino effect throughout the body. When the brain doesn't get enough deep sleep, memory and concentration suffer. Mood becomes more unstable and energy levels drop. The immune system weakens. Muscles don't repair themselves properly overnight. And worst of all, chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of falls, depression, high blood pressure, and even dementia. For someone like Walter, it explained everything. The grogginess, the forgetfulness, the lack of motivation. It wasn't age, it was his sleep. After speaking with his doctor, Walter made a few changes. He stopped drinking tea in the evenings, started going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, and began using a dim nightlight to avoid turning on bright lamps during bathroom trips. His doctor also reviewed his medications and made slight adjustments to reduce nighttime disturbances. Within a couple of weeks, he began sleeping longer stretches, and more importantly, waking up feeling like he had truly rested. His memory improved, he was more cheerful during the day, and he even started enjoying his morning crossword puzzles again. The message here is simple but powerful. Sleep matters, and it matters more, not less, as we age. You do not have to accept poor sleep as your new normal. Small changes to your environment, habits, or even meal timing can make a big difference. And if you've been struggling with broken sleep for weeks or months, don't hesitate to talk with your doctor. There may be an underlying issue that's easy to address once it's identified. Coming up next, we'll dive into a topic that isn't about what you do at night, but what's happening all the time inside your body. It's called low-grade chronic inflammation, and it may be silently draining your energy every single day. Let's continue with number 6. Chronic low-grade inflammation, draining you slowly. Number 6. Chronic low-grade inflammation, draining you slowly. Mrs. Evelyn, an 81-year-old former florist from Northern California, had always thought of herself as fairly healthy. She wasn't on many medications, kept a mostly balanced diet, and still enjoyed gentle walks around her neighborhood. But for the past year, something had been off. It wasn't a specific pain or illness she could point to, just a constant, nagging sense of tiredness. Her joints ached more than they used to. She felt stiff in the mornings. Her mind seemed a little slower, and she'd started skipping her usual activities simply because she didn't have the energy. At first, she blamed it on aging, but something inside her told her this wasn't just old age. It felt like her body was fighting something, silently all the time. And as it turned out, she was right. After visiting a new doctor and getting some lab work done, Evelyn was told she had elevated markers of chronic inflammation. She wasn't sick in the traditional sense, but her immune system was slightly overactive, constantly on edge, wearing her down little by little each day. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the most misunderstood and under-discussed causes of fatigue in older adults. Unlike the sharp, obvious kind of inflammation you get from an injury or infection, this form is quieter. It happens deep in the body at the cellular level. Over time, the immune system begins responding to stress, poor diet, lack of movement, or even environmental toxins with a slow, steady stream of inflammatory chemicals. You don't feel sick, but you do feel tired. Your joints are a little more swollen, your digestion slows down, your brain feels foggy, your sleep is less restful, and your energy is always a step behind. This kind of inflammation is linked to a wide range of chronic conditions that disproportionately affect seniors. Arthritis, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, even Alzheimer's disease. But here's the thing, it doesn't always start with disease. Sometimes it starts with what's on your plate. A diet high in processed foods, Added sugars and unhealthy fats can quietly feed this internal fire. So can chronic stress, poor sleep, lack of physical activity, and even loneliness. And when your body's always in a low-level alert state, it takes a toll, not just on your organs, but on your energy, your focus, and your joy in daily life. For Evelyn, the path to feeling better didn't involve a complicated medical plan. Her doctor suggested a few anti-inflammatory changes, adding more omega-3 rich foods like salmon and walnuts, swapping out white bread for whole grains, using olive oil instead of butter, and including colorful vegetables at every meal. She also began a simple stretching routine each morning and spent more time outside in natural sunlight. Most importantly, she began taking short evening walks with a neighbor, not just for her body, but for her spirit. Within a month, she noticed she was waking up with less stiffness, moving with more ease, and feeling a little more herself again. The lesson here is powerful. Sometimes the reason you feel so tired isn't about what you're missing. It's about what your body is trying to fight off. And unlike acute illnesses, this fight can go on for months or years without anyone noticing. But the good news is that chronic inflammation is often reversible, or at the very least, manageable. By reducing inflammatory triggers in your daily routine, you give your body a break. You allow it to heal, to recover, and to redirect its energy where it belongs, helping you feel strong, steady, and alive. Up next, we'll explore something many people overlook when they think about energy: your blood sugar. Even small fluctuations in glucose can cause big drops in energy, focus, and stamina, especially in older adults. Let's move forward to number 7, blood sugar swings, the energy roller coaster. Number 7, blood sugar swings, the energy roller coaster. Mr. Frank, a 76-year-old retired postman from Georgia, had always been active. He walked daily, loved working on home projects, and rarely missed a chance to tinker in his garage. But lately, he had been feeling like his energy came and went in strange waves. Some mornings he would feel sharp and ready to go. Then just an hour or two later, he'd crash, weak, shaky, and in desperate need of a snack. Other times, he would feel foggy after lunch, unable to focus on simple tasks or stay awake through his favorite show. His doctor had once told him he was borderline diabetic, but since he wasn't on medication, Frank didn't think much of it. It wasn't until he had a dizzy spell one afternoon and nearly fell while standing up from the couch that he realized something was wrong. After a follow-up appointment and a closer look at his diet, the problem became clear. Frank wasn't managing his blood sugar, and those constant energy swings were his body's way of crying out for stability. Blood sugar swings are a surprisingly common and often overlooked cause of fatigue in older adults. When we eat, our blood glucose rises, giving us a burst of energy. But if we eat too much sugar or refined carbs without balancing them with fiber, protein, or healthy fats, that rise becomes a spike. And after every spike comes a crash. The body releases insulin to bring sugar levels back down, and sometimes it overcorrects, especially in people whose insulin response has become less efficient with age. The result is a sudden drop in blood sugar, which triggers symptoms like weakness, brain fog, irritability, shakiness, or intense hunger. For seniors whose energy reserves are already lower and who may be more sensitive to these shifts, the impact can be especially draining. What makes this roller coaster even more dangerous is how subtle it can be. You might not even notice the sugar spike, just the crash that follows. And when that crash hits, many people reach for a quick fix: a cookie, a slice of bread, or a sugary drink. That lifts energy briefly, but only starts the cycle again. Over time, this pattern not only wears down your energy and mental clarity, it also increases the risk of developing full-blown type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and weight gain. But the good news is, blood sugar swings are highly responsive to simple dietary changes. When Frank sat down with a nutritionist, he realized that many of his meals, toast and jam for breakfast, a sandwich and chips at lunch, or pasta at dinner, were built almost entirely on refined carbohydrates. He began replacing some of those with steadier options: scrambled eggs and whole grain toast for breakfast, a salad with grilled chicken and avocado for lunch, and roasted vegetables with quinoa and salmon for dinner. He also started snacking on nuts or Greek yogurt instead of crackers. The difference was almost immediate. He no longer felt those sharp dips in energy mid-morning or after lunch. His mind felt clearer, and he didn't have to constantly chase food to stay alert. More importantly, he felt in control again, not just of his meals, but of his energy and confidence. If you're experiencing mysterious waves of fatigue, lightheadedness between meals, or difficulty staying focused, your blood sugar may be fluctuating more than you realize, even if you haven't been diagnosed with diabetes. Ask your doctor about testing your fasting glucose and A1C levels, and start paying attention to how you feel after meals. Often, a few changes to what and when you eat can stabilize your energy, lift your mood, and help you feel more like yourself again. Now that we've uncovered the 7 hidden causes of fatigue that can affect seniors, it's time to bring it all together. In our final section, we'll look at what these lessons mean for your daily life, and how just a few thoughtful steps can help restore your energy, protect your independence, and make aging a stronger, more vibrant journey. Let's move into the conclusion. Conclusion. So now you've seen it, the hidden causes of fatigue that so many people over 65 silently struggle with every day. And maybe, for the first time, you see your own story reflected in these explanations. Maybe you've woken up feeling tired despite sleeping 8 hours. Maybe you felt your legs get heavy after a short walk, or your mind go blank halfway through a sentence. And maybe, just maybe, you've thought to yourself, I guess this is just what getting old feels like. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be. Fatigue is not an inevitable part of aging. It is a signal, a message from your body that something is out of balance. As we've explored, that imbalance could be something as simple as not drinking enough water or as overlooked as a magnesium deficiency. It could be low iron quietly stealing your oxygen, or unstable blood sugar turning your energy into a roller coaster. It could be inflammation simmering beneath the surface, or poor sleep quietly chipping away at your strength. These are not mysterious, incurable problems. These are manageable, measurable, and reversible challenges, if we're willing to listen and respond with care. The power of this knowledge lies not in fear, but in hope. Because once you understand what's happening inside your body, you're no longer guessing. You're no longer just pushing through the tiredness. You're investigating. You're adjusting. You're giving your body what it needs to recover, heal, and thrive, not just survive. And that shift in mindset is where true vitality begins. You don't need to fix everything all at once. Just start with one small step. Maybe that's sipping more water throughout the day. Maybe it's asking your doctor to check your iron or magnesium levels. Maybe it's changing your breakfast to avoid sugar crashes, or going for a short walk after dinner to help reduce inflammation. Each of these steps adds up. Each one brings you closer to feeling clear-headed, steady on your feet, and more like yourself again. Aging is not about giving up. It's about adapting. It's about learning how your body speaks to you now and responding with kindness and wisdom. You've made it this far with resilience, strength, and patience. That same strength is what will carry you into this next chapter. Not with fear, but with clarity and purpose. So take a deep breath. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not just old. You are a human being whose body is asking for care, and now you know how to give it. Thank you for being here, for being curious, and for choosing to learn more about your own health. The journey toward energy, vitality, and strength after 65 isn't over. In fact, it may just be beginning. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and haven't yet liked and subscribed, now is the perfect time to do so. It really helps our channel grow and reach more people who need this kind of helpful content. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll always know when a new video is up. Your support truly means the world to us. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.